This tutorial video, I am going to show you how to install the Netio Smart Power Strips into the Elan controller. Before we start in the Elan configurator, there's a couple of things that we need to do on the switches themselves. So to access the switch, just go to the IP address of the switch from any web browser. We need to change a couple of settings. The first one is under the MTM API protocol, make sure that you have JSON API enabled, and you want to also enable the read-write and go ahead and put in a username and password. This is the username and password that we will use in the driver once we set up these for access. The second thing that I recommend that you do is under settings, go under security settings and turn on secure HTTPS. This is a great practice. It helps the information stay private and no one able to sniff the network and get the username and passwords for these switches. So highly recommended that you use these HTTPS connections. Once you have configured both of those options, the secure HTTPS and the JSON, go ahead and go into your configurator. And under communication devices, you want to add a new communication device and choose Netio from the supported devices. Once you have that, you'll have this interface here, which in essence will work as an installer, and I'll show you how that works. Put in the activation code. The username and the password are the username and password that you entered in the Netio web interface. Because we're using secure communication, we're going to use port 443. This is set up as HTTPS. The polling time is the polling time that it takes for Elan to be notified if something outside of Elan is turned on or off. So if the switch is turned on manually or using another form, Elan will take up to 5 seconds to be notified of that, and then go ahead and send that back to the interface. The energy measurement support, some of the Netio switches support energy management such as voltage and watt usage, and some of them don't. So depending on your model, if it does support it, go ahead and choose yes, put in the IP address of the device, hit apply, and then go ahead and hit install. And this will go out to the switch itself, and it will grab the name of the switch. I'll call it Netio 1, 2, 3, depending on which one it is. It will give you one output or one switch called all outputs. This is used to turn on and off all the outputs. Then it will give you output 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll notice that there is something here called output 1 short. The Netio switches have this feature called short on and short off. And this is something that is configured in the switch itself, and in the driver we can call on it. We treat it as a separate switch. It is a special functionality, and you could read more about it and use cases in the Netio documentation. Once you've installed this driver, another driver actually got installed, and that is under the input-output driver. If you notice that there's one here. Now the input-output driver is a driver that we're going to use for the energy usage and the wattage and the amps and the cost. We'll talk about this driver in the second part of the installation series. So now back to lighting. Under the communication device, I want to install a second Netio switch. So this one, I have it on the network. I haven't fully set it up yet. It works still on port 80, uses HTTP. Now that switch does not support energy management. When you choose no, an input-output driver will not be installed. If you make a mistake and you choose yes and an input-output driver is installed, just simply delete it. I'll put in the IP address of the device, hit apply, and again hit install. So in a way, the communication device here is working as a mini installer. So now here we are, we have the Netio, the second one. This one also happens to have 4 ports, and it has all outputs, and it'll have all the also short reset. And if you notice, if you go to input output, it was not installed. Let's just continue with this, and I have a third device on the network, all the same settings. However, this one does support energy management. Hit apply, hit install. and this will go out and it'll find the device as well. And here it is, and this one only has a single output. It's a power cable, one of those smart power cables, and it also has a short reset. And if you go to input output, you'll notice that this one also was installed, since we're going to be using it for the purposes of energy management and energy output, and we will talk about that in the next